Good afternoon, guys. Welcome to Hope Church Rhydyfelin. Thank you for joining us for week 9 of our Sofa Sermon series.
Andrew Davis is going to be bringing our penultimate preach on Mark. It's the bit that everybody knows, it's the most important thing ever, and it's going to be awesome. So I look forward to that, and I'm hoping that you will too.
First, we've got some worship. The whole team have done it again together because it's just a load of fun. So we're going to have that going on in a minute.
Yeah, and on that note, just a big thank you to everyone involved with that. It's brilliant, but it takes a lot of effort and time to sort it all out. And a big special thank you especially to Jordan for editing it all and to Tim for mixing it all. So thank you, guys. But if you're able to stand up now, that would be great. We're going to sing. We're going to lift our voices to God. So I'd encourage you to just sing out, stand up, make loud noise, worship God. It's all good.
So we'll see you in a little bit, guys. Bye!
Bye!
Through many dangers, toils, and snares, I have already come. 'Twas grace that brought me safe this far, and grace will lead me home. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. My chains are gone, I've been set free. My God, my Savior has ransomed me. And like a flood, His mercy reigns, unending love, amazing grace. The Lord has promised good to me. His word my hope secures. He will my shield and portion be, as long as life endures. My chains are gone, I've been set free. My God, my Savior has ransomed me. And like a flood, His mercy reigns, unending love, amazing grace. The earth shall soon dissolve like snow. The sun forbear to shine, but God who called me alone will be forever mine. My chains are gone, I've been set free. My God, my Savior has ransomed me. And like a flood, His mercy reigns. light shining as the sun. We've no less days to sing God's praise than when we first begun. My chains are gone, I've been set free. My God, my Savior has ransomed me. And like a flood, His mercy reigns. Unending love, amazing grace. Unending love, amazing grace. The greatest heroes are born, they're made in the choices that they make. So you suffered in my place. With every breath you chose to stay. For I know that no nail could hold those hands, and I know that it's love that held you there, and you reached out for me with hands that bled for me. And the horror you went through, the heartache and pain, everything given for the broken to gain. For you reached out for me. You could have turned and walked away, and yet you chose that awful fate. You took our shame, you bore our scars. The hope of the world for the beat of your heart. For I know that no nail could hold those hands. I know that it's love that held you there, and you reached out for me with hands that bled for me. And the horror you went through, the heartache and pain, everything given for the broken to gain. For you reached out for me. With arms wide open, the curtain was torn. With arms wide open, what was lost was restored. With arms wide open, heaven's gates open wide. With arms wide open, death is denied. With arms wide open, the curtain was torn. With arms wide open, what was lost was restored. With arms wide open, heaven's gates open wide. With arms wide open, death is denied. For you reached out for me with hands that bled for me. And the horror you went through, the heartache and pain,
Hey everyone, welcome back. We're just going to do the notices now. Yay! So this Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. we have a all-together Zoom meeting. So literally, instead of having small little groups, we're going to have everyone together in one massive group, and that won't be chaos. It will be brilliant. But we're going to be doing communion there. So bring some bread, bring something to drink, and we shall do that together, and that will be awesome.
On Wednesdays, we've been doing a Bible study at lunchtime, so at 12 o'clock, stop whatever you're doing, just sit down, get your Bible out, and get on Zoom. This week we are doing Psalm 6, so that should be really cool. So that's Wednesday at 12.
That really good. And then on Friday at 7:30 p.m, we have Julian and Sarah, who are going to be leading a one-off session really for us. They're going to be sharing their story of faith. And it's just an encouraging story that if you haven't heard it, it would be great for you to listen to. It's just brilliant, really. So yeah, come on to that. Be good.
So you may be thinking, but I thought Friday night was quiz night. Well, Friday night quiz night has been moved back a week. So we're now going to do the quiz on the 29th. So don't worry, it is still happening. So Friday night, the 29th at 7:30. Remember, we are doing that baby picture round. So if you can send your baby photos that you're willing for other people to see and aren't too embarrassed by, if you can send them...
No, the more embarrassing the better.
If you can send those over to Andrew as soon as possible, that would be brilliant.
In terms of other things to be sent over to Andrew, the 31st of May, our service then, we're going to have a series of short testimonies. We're going to try and get loads of people in the church to share what's going on with them, what's encouraging them at the moment, what they're finding difficult. And Andrew Davis is going to be organising that. So have a think about things that you could possibly share with the church, things to encourage, things to inspire, and share those thoughts with Andrew Davis, and he will try and stitch you all together into something coherent. Maybe. Yeah, so...
Over to Andrew now for the talk.
Yeah.
Cool.
Bye.
Well, good afternoon, Hope, and everyone else who's looking in online. My name is Andrew Davis, and I'm one of the leaders here of Hope Church. It's been great in the last few weeks. We've been going through the book of Mark and kind of seeing the story of Jesus unfolding in front of our eyes. It does mean we are slightly out of sync with the church calendar. So a few weeks ago, we enjoyed Easter, but actually today I'm going to be looking at the Easter story. But of course, at this moment in time, we don't really know what day it is, let alone what time of year it is. It's all a bit confusing. But actually, this isn't just an Easter story. This is an everyday story. And I've named the title today, Game Over or Game Changer. How we view what we look at today will either be a game over, that's it, all over, not interested in Christianity, or it's a complete game changer. Either you will see your worth in what happens with Jesus on the cross, or you'll want to find your worth and your sort of sense of self elsewhere. You either find it in Jesus or you find it elsewhere. And so it's game over or game changer. 15 years ago, there was a football match. I know some of you thinking, oh, here we go, sport. And yes, it is about Liverpool. It was Liverpool v AC Milan. It was the Champions League. And I'll never forget it because we were on holiday as a family in North Wales and my mum and dad were with us and the children were quite young. And it was the first time over many years that Liverpool had made the Champions League final. And I got everyone ready. We're going to watch this. It's going to be brilliant. And in the first minute, AC Milan scored a goal. And at that point, I think the twins went up to bed. A few minutes later, Liverpool should have been given a penalty, but instead AC Milan break down the other end and score a second goal. At which point, I think Liz said she needed to wash her hair. And that was really rubbing it in for me. And she went up and she washed her hair. And I think Jess, Evan and Reese went up. It was just me and my mum and dad. And then a third goal went in. At which point, my dad looked at my mum and said, "Go on, June, let's go for a walk." And they went, leaving me sitting on my own. And even the commentator said, "Game over." It looked like game over. The halftime whistle was blown and everything looked like it was lost. Little did we know, that halftime team talk was the game changer. Within 15 minutes of the second half, Liverpool were 3-3, and it just totally transformed. By the end of the game, it went to penalties and Liverpool won the game. Do you know what? It's amazing, isn't it? In any great story, any great film, there's a moment where everything seems like it's been lost. Everything is come to a moment where the hero looks like he's blown it, it's gone. Just to keep John Ryan interested, even in Marvel films, there's a moment where it all looks like everything is lost, and then suddenly the music begins and the story changes. I grew up watching the A-Team. On a Thursday night, my dad used to have an elders meeting downstairs, and me and my mum used to have a jacket potato and baked beans and some cheese on top, and we used to go up and watch on the TV the A-Team. Or Knight Rider, actually, but it was A-Team sometimes and Knight Rider other times. And I remember with the A-Team, there was always exactly the same story took place, which is they would turn up to rescue some village or some family that were being treated badly by some baddies. And there was always a moment in the programme where suddenly everything looked like it had gone wrong. The plan was ruined. Suddenly they would be locked up. And they'd be locked up nearly always in a garage or a warehouse or a barn. And always in that garage or a warehouse or a barn there was a disused vehicle, a welding set, some form of metal, and something that could be turned into explosive. And then suddenly the music would start. Dun, 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 and they would build some amazing device and burst out and win. Victorious. Well, do you know what? The Gospels lead us to a point where it looks like all hope is gone. For the disciples, they have lived with this amazing moment of being with Jesus, giving their life to following Jesus. 3 years of their life they've been following him and serving him and being with him. They've entered Jerusalem and the great victory and the sense of, hey, it's exciting, this is really great. And then they've seen Jesus be arrested. And now Jesus is taken to the cross. And when we come to Mark 15, we see that Jesus is taken to Pilate. And then he's delivered. Pilate delivers him to be crucified. And then Jesus is mocked. And ultimately he dies on the cross. And we see him die. And he's buried. Is this game over? If you ever look at the whole Bible, you see right at the beginning when God created heaven and earth and then created man and woman, there was a moment where man and woman turned their back on God and followed a different path. And at that moment, God says to Satan, out of woman will come one who will crush you. And there's almost that sense of the enemy has been waiting. I've got to win, I've got to win, I've got to win, I've got to win. And this day, you kind of get the feeling that all of hell is celebrating. We've killed Jesus. Little they know that actually, it's not game over. It's game changer. When we started looking at Mark's Gospel, we start in verse 1 and it says this: in the beginning of the Gospel of Jesus Christ, the Son of God. And as we look at this chapter today, and as I pick out bits from it, you'll see there's a moment when Jesus on the cross breathes his last breath. And there looking up at him is a centurion. And the centurion sees a dead Jesus and makes an amazing statement. He says, truly, this is the Son of God. Mark's Gospel, right at the start, tells you this is the destination. Actually, Jesus isn't just this man living amongst us that we're going to learn about. He is the Son of God. Fully man, fully God. You will see that. And there at the cross, where it's full of mockers and people laughing and jeering, there is a centurion, a Gentile, looking up at that cross and says, truly, he is the Son of God. Chapter 15, when you read through it, is astonishing. The death of Jesus is full of some incredible statements that people make not knowing they're declaring truth. So the first irony is, in chapter 15, is that Jesus is mocked as a king. Those who are accusing him are mocking him. So in verse 16 it says, and the soldiers led him away inside the palace, the governor's headquarters. They called together the whole battalion, and they clothed him in a purple cloak, and twisting together a crown of thorns, they put it on him, and they began to salute him. Hail, King of the Jews! And they were striking his head with reed and spitting on him and kneeling down in homage to him. And they mocked him, and they slipped him with a purple cloak, and they put his own clothes on him, and they led him out to crucify him. They are mocking him. Even on the cross is put this jeer, hail the King of the Jews. Little do they know, the one they're mocking as the King of the Jews is actually the King of everything. The early church used to talk about Jesus reigning from the cross. There on the cross, he is reigning over all his creation. At one point, Pilate turned to the Jews and said, do you want me to release for you the King of the Jews? And the Jews say, no! Here, the soldiers laugh at him. Hail, King of the Jews, the inscription, the charge read against him, the King of the Jews in verse 26. And then they cried out, let the Christ, the King of Israel, come down from the cross. May we see and believe. The people were jeering. No one took Jesus' kingship seriously. But Mark knows. The Father knows. And many of us who are reading this know he is the King. He truly is the King, the Son of Man, the Son of God. He is the King over all the soldiers who are mocking him. He is the King over Pilate. He is the King over all the religious leaders who are stirring up trouble and shouting, crucify him. He is the King over all the earth that he is walking on. He is the King of you and of me. He is the King forever. I'm getting excited at this point. We also see the irony is in Mark 15, that the man who is seen as utterly powerless is also the one full of power. It talks elsewhere. And they told him, carry your cross. And they compelled a passerby, Simon of Cyrene, who was coming from the country, the father of Alexander and Rufus, to carry the cross. Why? Because Jesus, having been tortured and beaten and spat on, is now too powerless to carry the cross himself. And they're laughing at him. And then in verse 29, and those passers-by, while he's there on the cross being crucified by robbers, one on his right and one on his left, the passers-by are jeering at him. Ah, you who said you would destroy the temple and rebuild it in 3 days, save yourself and come down from the cross. You're powerless. Look at you. Little do they know, the one they were declaring powerless was the one who had power over sin and death. The one who spoke and the world came into being. Jesus was being brutally tortured. He'd been flogged. He'd been beaten. And yet here he was, seemingly powerless, but actually full of power. Them crying out, come on, build your temple. Little knowing that there he was, building the temple. In 3 days. The temple wasn't going to be a geographical building. It wasn't going to be a building that would be in one location. It was a person that was going to be there forever. The temple that would be between us and the Father. The restoration, the great mediator. He who looked powerless was actually full of power. He is giving his life as a ransom for us so that we can, through his temple, have a relationship once more with the Father. They cried out, save yourself! You said you can save others, save yourself! Here he is, On the cross, they're saying, come on, save yourself, little knowing that actually he was saving them. Anyone who believed that he was the Son of God, anyone who saw that he was dying for our sins, the stuff that we do wrong, anyone who could see that he was the one who took all the dross and the garbage of the world at that moment was being put on him so that he could take that penalty which we deserved, he's taking for us, knows that he could save himself, but rather he would save you and he'd save me. By staying on that cross, Jesus was saving us. He could have exercised his power and he could have come down, but he didn't. We're Christians today because Jesus stayed on the cross. We're Christians today as you know, John looked at last week when Jesus is in the Garden of Gethsemane saying, I will drink, is there another way? And the Father says, no. He says, and therefore I will drink this cup, the cup of the wrath of God, so that you and me can drink the cup of salvation. He's drinking that for us. He's enduring not just physical pain and personal shame, but he's taking being the sin-bearing substitute for you and for me. We can look at this and say, this isn't game over. This is game changer. This is our relationship being restored fully through Jesus. See, good morality can save you from going to prison, but it can't save you for eternity. It can't save you from going to hell. Your religion can't save you. Just being religious doesn't save you. Your parents' faith doesn't save you. Doing good things, reading the Bible doesn't save you. The only thing that saves you is that he stayed on that cross and died and took the punishment. He did this for you and for me. And then he died. And the centurion looks up at him and says, truly, he is the Son of God. Jesus is buried. And then we see silence for a day. We see some amazing things. It talks about the temple when Jesus breathes his last, that the temple, the curtain of the temple is torn from the top to the bottom. Why? Because a new covenant has just been built. And how do we know this? Because on the third day in chapter 16, we read that Mary Magdalene and Mary, the mother of Jesus, Mary, the mother of James and Salome, went to the graveyard, to the tomb. And when they got there, they found the stone had been rolled away. And they were saying to one another, who rolled away the stone for us? The entrance to the tomb, and looking up, they saw the stone had been rolled back. It was very large. And entering the tomb, they saw a young man sitting on the right side, dressed in a white robe. And they were alarmed. And he said to them, do not be alarmed. You seek Jesus from Nazareth, who was crucified. He's risen. He's not here. See the place where they laid him? But go, tell his disciples that Peter, he's going before you to Galilee. There you will see him. And he told you. And they went out and fled from the tomb, for trembling with astonishment had seized them, and they said nothing to anyone, for they were so afraid. And then you have this incredible moment where Jesus appears to Mary Magdalene, who he'd cast 7 demons from. She went and told those who had been with him as they mourned and slept and wept. And when they heard he was alive and been seen by her, they would not believe it. So Jesus then appears to the 2 disciples. We see this amazing moment. And what I love about this is here. Here's the good news, the proof that Jesus is the King. That Jesus is the one who saves others. That Jesus is the one who trusts the Father. That Jesus is the one who is all powerful. Here's the proof that he is the Son of God. And that his sacrifice was enough for you and me. Is he appears again. The risen Christ. He comes back. Our faith is based on the cross and resurrection of Jesus Christ. Our faith is based on that and on that that actually he died and it was right, so he came back to life for you and for me. And so suddenly today when you say, what are you worth? What's your worth today? What's your security? What's your worth? Can I put it this? Your worth is this, that he so loved you that he came and died on that cross, that he went to the cross for you and for me. Then we know we were worth it because he is now risen again. The amazing thing, of course, is he gives the gospel to the women. Do you notice actually how radical this whole story is? Firstly, you get a Gentile centurion looking up, being the first to declare he truly is the Son of God. The next, you get the women being given the message. This is turning everything back round to what God had always planned. We see this incredible picture before us. But what's your worth? When you actually think today, what am I worth? What's my value? Is my value what I earn? Is my value my wealth? Is my value? No. Your value is this, that God saw you, God loved you, and he wants you to see him. We've got some crows that have just nested up near us. And, I've never felt particular affection towards crows, but suddenly these crows, because I'm seeing them, every day I'm there with my binoculars, checking that they're okay and viewing them and just excited seeing them as their young ones are now coming through. When other birds come and I'm thinking, don't go for them, I've become protective of them because I can see them. Do you know what? In the same way, the Father could see you and loved you. And he sees all of creation and loves it. We need to catch hold of this. When Jesus went to that cross, he went to that cross out of love for you and for me. And out of love for our community and for our nation and the nations and all the people who have ever been, those which the Father can see. And in a minute, Muri's just going to share a little testimony of something that God has shown her out of that as well. Today, you are being looked at upon God. God looks at you and says, what's your value? What value do you put on yourself? Do you put yourself the value as, I'm loving, I'm caring? Or do you put your value as this? The Father thought you were worth it to send his Son for you. He sent his Son to face the shame of being called, come on then, save yourself. Go on, you're utterly powerless. You can't do anything. Ha! Look at the King of the Jews. Little knowing he was the King. He was all powerful. He was the one who could save us all. So is this a game changer or game over? For me, I look at this and see at the cross, many mocked and couldn't see what was happening, but one centurion could look and see. When I look at this, I look like the centurion and say, truly, he's the Son of God. I look at the empty tomb and say, wow, and his sacrifice was worth it. I know he's my God. And therefore, my worth is not in my own ability. My worth is not in what I do. My worth is in this. He so loved me, he sent his Son. Your worth today is not in your ability, your skills, or your money. It's that you're loved by God so much that he sent his Son for you. That is the most wonderful, awesome truth. And actually the fruit of it should be this. I will now be known as a disciple of Jesus by the way I show that love to others. I will be known as a disciple, not just by my words, but by how I am. And my prayer is, as we look upon the cross and see the Son of God, as we look at the empty tomb and see the Son of God is risen and has now got all authority and is sat at the right hand of the Father, the fruit of it will be this. I know my worth. I'm seen and loved by God. And actually I will know that God so loves all those around me that he's changed me so I can make him known to others. And on that, I'm just going to hand over to Muri.
So Andrew mentioned about the crows and how much value there is in those crows, because he now knows of the nest and that they're in this nest. And as he spoke about that the other day, I was thinking about Psalm 139 and how much value God has for us. And in that psalm it says that he knits us together in our mother's womb. It talks about the preparation that God put in place for us to be here. So before we were even known about to our parents, God knew of us. Before they had planned us, he planned us. And so it just shows this remarkable value that God places on us before we're even known to anyone on the earth.
Thank you, Minuri. Isn't it wonderful? You know, during this lockdown, we can have days where we're just not doing well. I know personally, I have days I just think, I'm just not doing good here. And you can think, I just want to make a difference, I want to do this, and you feel locked in. And it's actually the moments that can affect the way we approach the Father. We can think, can I go to him? I've not done well today. I've not been good in my thoughts or in my actions. Do you know what the cross says? You can always go to the Father because you go through Jesus and he had a really good day. Because of his really good day, however bad your day, you always go in front of the Father on the basis of a good day, the death and resurrection of Jesus. And you can have that relationship by doing this, saying, Father, please forgive me. I know I've blown it. And thank you that Jesus is the Son of God, and because of his righteousness, I can now say, restore me into relationship. Forgive me for what I've done wrong, and restore me into a relationship with you forever. And the Father will say, yes, because he had a good day. Bless you all. See you soon. God bless.
My mind to Calvary, where Jesus bled and died for me. I see his wounds, his hands, his feet, my Savior on that cursed tree. Bound and drenched in tears, they laid him down in Joseph's tomb, the entrance sealed by heavy stone, Messiah still and all alone. The Son of Heaven rose again. Oh, trample death, where is your sting? The angels roar for Christ the King. Oh, praise the name of the Lord our God. robes of white. The morning sun shall pierce the night, and I will rise among the saints, my gaze transfixed on Jesus' face. Oh, praise the name of the Lord our God. Oh, praise His name forevermore. For endless days we will sing your praise, oh Lord our God. Oh, praise the name of the Lord our God. Oh, praise His name forevermore. For endless days we will sing your praise, oh Lord our God. Who am I that the highest King would welcome me? I was lost, but He brought me in. Oh, His love for me. Oh, His love for me. Who the Son sets free, oh, is free indeed. I'm a child of God, yes I am. Free at last, He has ransomed me. His grace runs deep. While I was a slave to sin, Jesus died for me. Yes, He died for me. Who the Son sets free, oh, is free indeed. I'm a child of God, yes I am. In my Father's house there's a place for me. I'm a child of God, yes I am. I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. Yes, I am who you say I am. Who the Son sets free, oh, is free indeed. I'm a child of God, yes I am. In my Father's house there's a place for me. I'm a child of God, yes I am.
So that's us done for today. Thank you to Andrew for his word and to the whole worship team. But before we go, John has something very important he wants to share with you.
So I think the one thing that these online services are lacking in is a theme tune. So I've come up with something in the last 2 minutes and I'm going to share that with you. So thank you for joining us for Sofa Sermons. Thank you for joining us for Hope Online. Thank you for joining our online worship. We hope you had a good time. Bye!